Let's talk about divorce, or rather, let's have me talk to Notebook LM about divorce and see what it says.
Okay, so divorce. It's one of those things, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's got an opinion on it.
it's unavoidable.
It's like we could throw out the divorce statistics all day. We could sit here, point fingers
Right.
endlessly. But that's not what we're about.
No.
What we're doing in this deep dive is we're getting into the nitty-gritty why.
Yeah, the why.
The why of it all. And to do that, we're looking at the source. It's called pasted text. And the reason we found this so fascinating is because it's all questions.
Yeah,
Like, it brings up more questions than answers.
it's true.
So what we really want is for you listening to maybe come out of this with more questions than answers, too.
Exactly. Think a little differently.
Yeah, just look at this from a different angle. You might not agree with it,
And that's okay.
and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But let's just see what we think. So pasted text, it asks, why do we get divorced? And it gives like 5 points.
Okay.
And some of these, I gotta be honest, kind of threw me for a loop.
Really?
Okay, so number 1, and this one's a doozy, because that's how we're programmed to be. It's like we're hardwired to have kids.
Right.
Raise them to a point where they can kind of fend for themselves.
Independence.
And then see you later.
Yeah. It's like the biological clock has a relationship expiry date that we don't talk about.
Oh. And you know what's made me think of? It made me think about like animals in the wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they mate, they raise their young to a certain point, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah, everybody's got to move on.
Yeah. Evolutionary biology would suggest that drive is really about survival of the species, not necessarily the individual relationships.
So is till death do us part even?
Is it natural?
Yeah,
Is it even realistic?
right. Oh, here we go. Point number 2. Because we're unhappy with the situation and there's a potential reason and way to change standing right there, a magnet for our resentment.
Oh.
This feels very like self-help book to me.
Oh, for sure. Like every relationship advice column ever written probably has a piece of this in there.
Right.
But you know what I think is interesting about the way this is phrased is that it frames divorce not as just an escape from something bad,
Yeah.
but as this pursuit of something better.
Oh, okay.
And that resentment, I think, that's key
Oh, yeah.
because that might be the clue
To what?
to what needs to change.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a good point. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So, number 3. This one's where it's a little out there, okay?
Okay.
Because there's a form of survival that's not genetic. It's the behaviors the children learn. And there may be a pattern, just as with evolution, that promotes the individual propagating their memes and behaviors. That means excluding the partner's behavior.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So, we're not talking about internet memes.
No. Although, maybe there's an argument to be made there.
But can you, before we get off on a tangent about that,
Right.
can you explain, like, what does that even mean?
Okay, so in this context, when we're talking about memes, we're talking about any cultural idea,
Okay.
any behavior that kind of gets passed down from person to person.
Okay.
So this point is suggesting that subconsciously, we might actually prioritize passing down like our own coping mechanisms, our values, even if that means like pushing our partners to the side a little bit.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It's almost like a subtle power struggle playing out. There's a lot of research on intergenerational trauma and how some of these learned behaviors, even the negative ones, they didn't get replicated.
Wow. You're right, because you do see that. Okay. Number 4. Because we figure something out and break out of a pattern that was keeping us down or away from a person who was doing it. Ooh, this one to me feels very personal.
Personal growth, right.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that can be really painful,
Right.
but it can be so necessary. And sometimes, unfortunately, that means recognizing unhealthy patterns, and those patterns might be really deeply ingrained in a relationship.
And sometimes you just gotta cut it off.
It's like you're uncoupling from the old you almost,
Yeah.
in a way.
Okay. And the last one. Because we want to focus more resources on ourselves,
Okay.
which on the surface sounds a little selfish.
It does have that connotation, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, come on.
But what if it's not about selfishness? What if it's about like recognizing your own needs and investing in yourself?
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes, making those investments, prioritizing your own growth, it might mean making hard decisions about a lot of things in your life.
Yeah.
And that includes relationships.
Yeah. Because it doesn't mean that you're not invested in the relationship.
Right.
It just means that you realize that you've got to take care of you too.
Absolutely.
So maybe divorce, it's not just about the relationship ending. Maybe it's about evolution.
It could be.
Like you said, self-discovery.
Or even bigger societal shifts. We're all products of our time.
Yeah, that's so true. Wow. This one source pasted text, you guys, it's just given us so much to think about.
A lot to unpack, yeah.
So, like, it makes you wonder if all of these things can be true. Can we ever really say that divorce is the right decision or the wrong decision? Or is it just about, like, figuring out how to navigate it all the best way you can?
Yeah, it's messy.
It's complicated.
Very complicated.
And that's our deep dive for today. We would love to know what you guys think.
Yeah, what resonated with you?
Hit us up.
Let us know.
Let us know in the comments.